dust is dancing in a shaft of amber light. Across the floor as shadows learn to bend, I watch the tea leaves swirling out of sight, while waiting for the stillness to descend. Your fingers trace the patterns on the chair. The fabric catches glints of heavy gold. There is a quiet tension in the air, a story that has never quite been told. We lean against the weight of passing hours. The clock is ticking slower than the heart. The garden breathes the scent of dying flowers, as if it knows we are about to part. The window frames a world of fade and blue. The clouds are hanging heavy in the sky. I find a different shade of me in you before the weary sun begins to die. This texture moment draped in leap of violet, a heavy softness falling on our skin. The world outside is becoming a quiet pilot, steering the signs where we both begin. Wrapped in the folds of this darkening glow, touching the fibers of a day nearly gone. There is no place that we need to go until the velvet is pulled by the dawn. The edges of the room are getting soft and blurred, like charcoal lines upon a porous page, and every single thought remains unheard within this hollow and ornate old cage. The plushness of the evening pulls us down into a sea of deep and thick desire. We wear the quiet lock, a heavy gown, beside the embers of a dying fire. I see the silver lining in your eyes, reflecting every secret that we keep. The day is folding up its thin disguise and preparing for the elegance of sleep. Your voice is like a brush against the grain, smooth and jagged all at the same time. It washes out the residue of pain and turns the mundane into something sublime. The street lamps flicker on the avenue, but here the gloom is thick enough to hold. I spend this fading legacy with you before the coming of the biting cold. The drapes are heavy and the air is still. The afternoon has surrendered its crown. We yield our senses to the creeping chill as the weight of the fabric settles down. This textured moment draped in deeper violet, a heavy softness falling on our skin. The world outside is becoming a quiet pilot, steering the silence where we both begin. Wrapped in the folds of this darkening glow, touching the fibers of a day nearly gone. There is no place that we need to go until the velvet unpulled by the dawn. This texture moment draped in deeper violet, a heavy softness falling on our skin. The world outside is becoming a quiet island, steering the silence where we both begin. Wrapped in the folds of this darkening glow, touching the fibers of a day nearly gone. There is no place that we need to go until the velvet pulled by the dawn. The dust settles down like gray, heavy snow on the pendulum swinging was so tired and slow. In the hallway were shadows laid long by the wall. The timber is cracked in the spine of the hall. Nobody listens to what it might say, but the gears keep on grinding the light of the day. A brass face is tarnished with fingerprints blurred, a ghost who have vanished and prayers ever heard. The mahogany shell holds a heartbeat of lead, counting the breaths of the living and dead. It stood by the cradle and watched by the bed, with a tongue made of iron and words left unsaid. The spring is a coil of a cold winter snake, tightened by hands that have started to shake. The minutes are stones in a bag made of glass, watching the seasons and centuries pass. Take through the silence of rooms left behind, a rhythm of wood for the wandering mind. It doesn't care for the kings or the rain. It measures the joy and it measures the pain. An engine of midnight in a corner of oak, tell them the truth that the ancestors spoke. The spider weaves webs round the Roman numerals, like mourning veils draped over quiet funerals. The glass is a mirror that won't show your face, just the creeping of seconds that vanish through space. The oil is dried to a crust on the wheels, yet the strike of the hammer is all that it feels. Grandfather's shadow is trapped in the chine, a prisoner held by the passage of time. He wound it on Sundays with a heavy gold key. Now he is a phantom and the clock is still free to stand in the dark while the floorboards all moan, ruling a kingdom of dust on its own. The spring is a coil of a cold winter snake, tightened by hands that have started to shake. The minutes are stones in a bag made of glass, watching the seasons and centuries pass. Tick through the silence of rooms left behind, a rhythm of wood for the wandering mind. It doesn't care for the kings or the rain. It measures the joy and it measures the pain. An engine of midnight in a corner of oak, telling the truth that the ancestors spoke. The bell above the door hung silent, while the steam crawled up the window pane. Just a single cup of bitter black, watching shadows dance against the rain. The clock upon the wall is frozen in a time that no one wants to keep. Only off-lit signs and empty stews while the rest of the city falls asleep. The diner lights are humming low. I am sitting where the ghosts remain, searching for a spark within the dread, trying to forget your distant name. Midnight is a heavy velvet shroud, and the counter is a wooden shore, waiting for a tide that never comes to wash away the dust upon the floor. The waitress cleans the same white tile. She doesn't ask me why I stay so late. There is no one left to hear the news or argue with the cruel hand of fate. I stir the sugar till it disappears, like every promise that you ever made. The porcelain is cold against my palm in this quiet corner where I've stayed. The street lamp flickers once and dies, leaving only cracks of silver light. I'm tracing patterns in the condensation, losing every data with a knife. The diner lights are humming low. I am sitting where the ghosts remain, searching for a spark within the trace, trying to forget your distant name. Midnight is a heavy velvet shroud, and the counter is a wooden shore, waiting for a tide that never comes to wash away the dust upon the floor. Your destiny. Midnight is a heavy velvet shroud, and the counter is a wooden shore, waiting for a tide that never comes to wash away the dust upon the floor. The bottom of the cup is dry at last. The moon is fading to a chalky gray. I leave a couple coins upon the break of day. The violet haze rests on the window frame, dust motes swirl in the golden light same. I find the crate beneath coats piled high, tracing a memory, the time that died. The needle meets the spinning like tide, a crackle burns like July fireside. You dried those sprigs in poets' old books whose names were lost in forgotten nooks. The room breathes deep, the garden's perfume, while floorboy time an ageless tune. I draw the curtain to hide the new, let scratches speak what's raw and true. Slow turns in a room of dried bloom, a ghostly song for the empty gloom. Time's wheel catches on edges untold, fragrance of ghosts on a wall so old. Each spin brings back the salt and sweet, weaving silence soft and neat. Day the ink bled through your sleep, smelled of hills wild and blue. The turntable keeps its steady beat as oak shadows stretch so deep. This heavy comfort holds me tight where nothing's lost while spins take flight. The air grows thick with harvest smite, the melody trembles near midnight. Nothing stings like sweetness bright that chokes the throat of fading light. Slow turn in a room of bright bloom, a ghostly song for the empty gloom. Time's wheel catches on edges untold, fragrance of ghosts on walls so old. Each spin brings back the salt and sweet, weaving silence soft and neat. Drops into the valley of black. Dust motes dance where the sun hates back. A purple haze from the windowsill cracks, tracing the ghosts that we once knew so well. You bought this song by the harbor light. The sleeve still holds where your thumb held tight. Dried flowers bloom in your journal's mind, releasing their scent in the cooling night. Time spins slow like a velvet wheel, circling paths that the heart can feel. Fragrance of meadows and glass confined, melodies worn by the hands of time. We live in grooves of the summer's rhyme, waiting for silence to end the chime. Purple stains on the threads we bind, singing through static of heart's decline. The shadows stretch on the album's face, violet stems now in golden grace. A phantom plays in the room's dark space, drowning the clock with its silent grace. The last note fades into lavender bridge somewhere where fields still sway without despair. Fragrance of metals and glass confined, melodies worn by the hands of kind. We live in grooves of a summer's rhyme, waiting for silence to end the chime. Purple stains on the threads we bind, singing through static of heart's decline. The steam rises like a ghost from a chipped porcelain cup, while the neon sign outside keeps stuttering its pale blue look. The street lamp is a witness to silence in my veins, tracing patterns of the shadows and the ghosts of autumn rains. I'm sitting in the corner where the upholstery is torn, waiting for a feeling that has never yet been born. The waitress cleans a counter that is already shining bright. We are survivors of the wreckage of a Tuesday night, and the clocks have all surrendered to the dragging of the sea, while the secrets of the lonely are abandoned on the street. Every drop of bitter liquid is a map I cannot read, to a destination hollowed by a desperate kind of need. Yes, the hours are just tallies on a dusty window pane, and the world is just a memory that is drowning in the rain. There's a heavy kind of gravity in the way this sugar falls, like a muffled conversation ringing through the empty halls. I've got a pocket full of silver and a head full of regret for the things I haven't promised and the people I haven't met. The radio is humming something low and out of tune, while the ceiling fans are chasing after a disappearing moon. I'm just a traveler of the shadows in a coat of faded gray, looking for a reason not to face the coming day. And the clocks have all surrendered to the dragging of the feet, while the secrets of the lonely are abandoned on the street. Every drop of bitter liquid is a map I cannot read, to a destination hollowed by a desperate kind of need. Yes, the hours are just tallies on a dusty window pane, and the world is just a memory that is drowning in the rain. Maybe home is just an ocean that I lost along the way, between the closing of the curtain and the breaking of the day. It's a long and winding alley where the questions never end, and the stillness is the only thing that's left to be a friend. I am standing at the bottom where the tracks are turning cold, be told. And the clouds have all surrendered to the dragging of the feet. All the secrets of the lonely are abandoned on the street. Every drop of bitter liquid is a map I cannot read to a destination hollowed by a desperate kind of need. Yes, the hours are just alleys on a dusty window print, and the world is just a memory that is drowning in the rain. The door remains a barrier to the cooling of the air, while the ghosts of all the lovers leave their spirits in the chair. Pour another cup of nothing, let it settle in the bone. It's a heavy kind of freedom, being utterly alone. Just the clinking of a teaspoon and a hollow sounding bell in this midnight sanctuary where the weary come to the heavy shoulder on the sill. The velvet air is held within the breath so still. Invisible crowds are rising from the floor. A million tiny voyagers drifting through the door. No map to follow and no kingdom left to claim. They find their glory in a golden frame, suspended in the ember of a passing day. The weightless pilgrims find a holy way to stray. Turn in circles in a cathedral made of light, born from a shadow and fading out of sight. The smallest things are turning into stars, wandering free between the window bars. We walk through ghosts we never cared to name, while every speck is chasing down a different flame. Born of the carpet or a sleeve of worn out wool, they feel the gravity and give a gentle pull. Beneath the ticking clock they spin their silent thread over the coffee and the books we haven't read. Suspended in the ember of a passing day, the weightless pilgrims find a holy way to stray. Turn in circles in a cathedral made of light, born from a shadow and fading out of sight. The smallest things are turning into stars, wandering free between the window bars. Suspended in the ember of a passing day, the weightless pilgrims find a holy way to stray. Turn in circles in a cathedral made of light, born from a shadow and fading out of sight. The smallest things are turning into stars, wandering free between the window bars. Suspended in the ember of a passing day, the weightless pilgrims find a holy way to stray. Turn in circles in a cathedral made of light, born from a shadow and fading out of sight. The smallest things are turning into stars, wandering free between the window bars. chasing silver needles of the falling rain. The grinding beans hum a steady tune in this quiet corner of the afternoon. The sugar dissolves without a sound as the world outside keeps spinning round. Oh, breathe in the scent of the roasted beans in a velvet booth where the air is clean. The clock on the wall has lost its way, holding the fragments of a dying day. Let the bitter and the sweet collide with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Just a wooden chair and a porcelain cup, waiting for the sun to brighten up. The shadows stretch across the floor, tracing patterns towards the heavy door. I flip the pages of a dusty book, giving every word a second look. The fireplace crackles with a gentle heat, softening the rhythm of the frozen tree. The teaspoon clinks against the side of the liquid dream where the secrets bide. Beneath the ceiling fans that slowly spin, I find a sanctuary deep within. The bitter brew is a familiar friend, where the broken lines begin to mend. No frantic pace or a crowded stage, just the turning of a lonely page. In the golden glow of a quiet hall, I feel the stillness through it all. Oh, breathe in the scent of the roasted bean in a velvet booth where the air is clean. The clock on the wall has lost its way, holding the fragments of a dying day. Let the bitter and the sweet collide with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Just a wooden chair and a porcelain cup, waiting for the sun to brighten up. The milk swirls in a snowy cloud, away from the voices that scream too loud. A sanctuary built of broken glass, watching the heavy seasons pass. The rain is slow to a steady beat, washing the dust from the empty street. The last drop lingers on my tongue like a melody that remains unsung.